Some quilts only last through babyhood, but this one is meant to grow up with them. Today, I'm starting a brand new quilt series that is very close to my heart. Instead of making a tiny baby quilt that gets outgrown quickly, I'm making what I call a Grow With Me toddler quilt. Something large enough for your little ones to keep using throughout their elementary school years and even later. These quilts usually finish in the 55 to 65 inch range, and I've been making them for the children in my family for years because I love creating something that becomes part of their memories growing up, something that they can continue using for several years. Throughout the series, I'll also be sharing some of the special details I like to add to make each one extra special and meaningful. So today we're starting with the top of our quilt by making our quilt blocks and putting the basic quilt top together. So let's get sewing. So for what you'll need for this quilt is your basic quilting tools. You're going to need 54 4.5 inch squares of white background fabric. And this could be a low volume as well if you don't want just solid white. You'll also need 54 4.5 inch squares of a variety of prints that you want to put in your quilt. And you're going to need 24 2.5 inch squares of a solid coordinating color. Okay, and we're making 2 different blocks for our quilt. And it's a very simple pattern. I'm just using the 9 patch style pattern. And I'll show you how I'm going to lay that out. Starting with the first block, you'll just want to take a variety of your prints and start putting together. I'm going to put these with the prints first so that they dominate the block. We're using 4 of the 4.5 inch white squares, and then just placing our prints in a 9 patch formation. Okay, just like so. And then you're just going to sew each row together, and then sew the rows all together to make your 9 patch. And then for the other block, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to put the white fabric as our dominant fabric, like so. And then that's where we'll come in with our 2.5 inch squares, and we're going to snowball the corners. So this will give kind of like a confetti look to your corners throughout the quilt once we lay in all the blocks together. It's going to be really cute. Okay, so we'll start with the first block, and then we'll put together this block. Okay, so I have each of my rows sewn, and I'm going to sew them together, and I'm just turning over the top one over to the middle, and I'm going to fold my seam from this middle one towards the middle. That way I keep that all straight. I'm just going to nest my seams, and this way I know that when I attach the other row, I'll be folding those seams to the outside, because my center is all in the center. Yeah, if that makes any sense. Okay, so I'm going to sew these up, and then we'll get to the cornerstones. Okay, so I've sewn up all of my 5 print blocks and the 4 print blocks, so you have 5 white. I want to show you that I went ahead and I ironed all my seams. For the 5 white block, for the block that only has the 4 prints in it, in my middle row, I ironed the seams to the middle and to the outside for the outside rows, and then I ironed this whole strip here to the outside. Okay, and then on the one with the 5 prints, I did the opposite. I ironed my middle to the outside, my inner row to the inside, like this, so that when we put them together, our seams are going to be opposite. As you can see here, we'll be able to nest our seams together. Okay, so the next step we're going to do is put our cornerstones, and I just draw a line on my 2.5 inch blocks. You can also just take one and iron it in half and then sew along instead of the pencil. Okay, and so we're going to take our little squares, and we're going to put them in the corner here, and it's going to clip it. Just clip it here on each side, and then you'll take it to your sewing machine, and you're going to sew right along that penciled line. Okay, and you're going to do that in all 4 corners, making sure that when you place them, each of these corners will be opposite. You know, your pencil line will go in the other direction, like so. Okay, so now we have all of our corners made. You're going to fold over. I'm just going to give it a little press And then before we iron it, you want to cut this bottom portion off. And you're going to cut it at about 1/4 of an inch away. And you'll do that to all of these. And remember, you're going to do this to only the block that has 4 prints in it. The 5 print one, where you're going to leave it like it is. And that way you get more of like a sporadic sprinkling of these in your quilt. Okay, and so this is our second block. And now we're going to make 6 of these and 6 of the 5 print blocks. And then we're going to alternate them. And you're going to make 3 rows of 4 and sew them together. Okay, so I'm going to start on that and then I'll show you what it looks like. And here's our quilt top all pieced together. My little nephew is going to love it. In the next video, we'll be adding the borders, including a special detail I love adding to these quilts to make them even more personal and special. So let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. And if you're excited to follow this quilt along with me, make sure you're subscribed. I will also share the link to the playlist that I created especially for this series, where I will be adding each of the videos for this toddler quilt to that playlist. And that link will be in the description below so you can save it. Thank you so much for following along with me today. And I will see you in part 2.